I am Megan and welcome to Battle Royale with Cheese, the website you can get all of your TV and film news, reviews and trailers. And it feels like it's been a while since I've done a video. I'm sorry. It's been a mixture of I've been busy with like Christmas shopping and getting ready for Christmas, and also a couple of other things that have unfortunately happened outside of YouTube. So yeah, I apologise that I think it's been nearly like 2 weeks since the video, so I do apologise for that. I am going to try and get a couple more out before Christmas, so yeah. But I went to go see Sonic the Hedgehog 3. So this is the third film in the Sega adaptation franchise, and it follows Sonic, Knuckles and Tails and their human friends Tom and Maddie as they try to adjust to what should be now a relaxing life. However, a black and red hedgehog has escaped from a facility and they are tasked with now stopping him. Very, very vague. There is a lot more going on than that, but that's kind of the main plot. So I'm just going to mention this now. I will be doing spoilers for this review. I kind of have to with a couple of things. It's not going to be for a lot, but there's just a couple of things I want to talk about with the film. So how that's going to work is this first section of the video will be spoiler free. I know that it came out in the UK today, so I understand that not everyone's going to want to hear, you know, how it ends or what happens and that kind of stuff. So we're going to do very brief thoughts and spoiler-free thoughts in the first part of this video. There'll be a spoiler image, so there'll be like a spoiler warning with a picture coming up, and then we'll go into spoilers. So there'll be a visual and a vocal warning beforehand. It was amazing. This is probably my favourite one. I mean, there's a bit of bias there because Shadow the Hedgehog is my favourite Sonic character, so there is a bit of bias there, but I really love these films. I love the original games. Actually, even some of the older games I really enjoy as well, but I feel like there's always that worry with, as a franchise adds more and more characters, there's always that worry of, okay, well, can you actually have enough time to fit them all in, especially given that this film is 1 hour and 50 minutes long. It is not a long film, but it does a really good job of fitting everyone in, giving everyone equal screen time, giving everyone their time to shine and a chance to actually tell their own stories and develop their own characters. And it was really, really well done. It was really well made, really well written, and very enjoyable. And this film kind of continues on what the previous two films have done, where I feel like they've done this a certain way and laid out the films in a certain way and just thought, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This film is really fast-paced. right from the second it starts, it's really fast-paced, very well-paced actually, like I've already said, but very fast-paced, and you have to keep up with that. I guess it's very in line with Sonic the Hedgehog, but yeah, I was surprised at actually how quickly it got into the plot. Like right from the first probably 10 seconds, we're into the plot, we're in the plot. But I think that really works for these films actually. And it definitely worked for this because, again, with the amount of time that they needed to tell the story. They had a lot to tell and a lot to cover. So yeah, Shadow is the new character that's been added to the Sonic film franchise. He's voiced by KeanuReeves. For the first act, his voice line deliveries I felt were a little bit wonky. It took a bit to kind of for him to settle into the film in terms of his dialogue and his line delivery. But once he did, I think that actually he did a really good job as this anger-filled hedgehog that's out for revenge. And yes, this is mainly focused on Shadow, so it does go into his backstory and why he is like the way he is. And this is kept very accurate to the games, and that's also something I appreciate. Paramount and the director Jeff Fowler, who has been with the previous two films, he's directed all of them basically. I think he obviously respects the source material, knows what the fans want, and will listen to feedback, as is proven when the original Sonic design came out and there was that big backlash. He's proven that he is willing to listen to feedback. He is willing to heed to what the fans want. And in that, it's very clear that care has gone into these films, and care has gone into telling Shadow's backstory in a very, very well and understandable way. he is filled with anger and sorrow over a loss of a friend, and that drives him to a rage and revenge-fueled journey. And I think also in that it was emotional, even though, and I'm talking about it here because this is in the games, this is literally Shadow's story. So I think that's what I also liked, is that, again, it was very accurate to the games, and they didn't really change too much with his story, which I really appreciate. But yeah, it was emotional as well. They did really well with keeping it emotional and saying, yeah, we're gonna deliver this story in a very sincere and serious way, and that was the best way that they could have done this. Even if you knew Shadow's story already from the games, they still managed to keep it very emotional, and yeah, it was. But they also balance out this very well with the humour. So obviously with Sonic and Knuckles and Tails, it does have the humour there, and it's very well balanced, I thought. And also with Dr. Robotnik as well, who, yes, he's alive. They don't really answer that one, to be honest, but I kind of like they didn't answer that, because even Sonic at one point questions like, wait, he's alive? And again, this is in the trailer, so that's why I'm bringing it up now. But yeah, I like that they actually didn't say how that happened. I kind of appreciate that they didn't go into this big long explanation of, oh yeah, he crawled out of the rubble and like resuscitated himself and blah 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 and all this lot. They were just like, no, he's back, like, accept it. I kind of like that. It's very video gamey in a sense as well. There is a couple more things I just want to go into with Robotnik as well, actually, but I'm going to do that in spoiler section. So we are about to go into spoiler section, so this is your warning. If you have not seen Sonic 3 yet, please do. If you've loved the previous two films, if you liked the Knuckles show, please go and see Sonic 3. I loved this. This was so good. I think it's my favourite one. And yeah, there's your vocal warning. Let's get into spoilers. Okay, so I'm going to start off with Robotnik first, who's once again played by Jim Carrey. And very well played by Jim Carrey. He's actually playing two characters in this. So he's also playing Professor Gerald Robotnik as well, who was involved in Shadow and creating Shadow, and he's actually played as well by Jim Carrey. There's even a fourth wall break when Robotnik and Gerald actually meet for the first time, and at one point they say, oh, it's almost as if, you know, we're in a film where we're being played by the same character, by the same actor, and as they're talking, they're slowly turning their head to face the camera. It was a funny moment that I thought worked really well, because they're both just as intelligent as each other. It kind of makes sense that if any character is going to have a fourth wall break, it's going to be them. But Robotnik's journey was interesting in this, because at the very end he actually does have a change of heart, where there is a line of dialogue of his that's in the trailer, which is actually takes place at the end of the film, where he says, oh, if I can't destroy this world, then I might as well save it. That's a line that happens at the very end of the film. And yeah, he does. He does. He actually does die in this film. I'm wondering if he actually is dead now, because he's the one who stops the space station from crashing into Earth. And again, this is from what I remember, this is in the games. It's a big space station with a giant, like, Death Star type laser that was going to completely destroy Earth. And yeah, Robotnik helps to resolve that and prevent that from happening. But in the process, he dies. Shadow survives. Of course, Shadow survives. He is the ultimate life form after all. But Robotnik dies. But I'm wondering, it would be funny if they made it as a running gag where, you know, he keeps dying but then keeps returning back or something. So it would be kind of funny if they did that kind of thing. But another question I have as well is, when they first move the laser out of the way of Earth, they steer it away from Earth, and it accidentally cuts through, like, the bottom section of the moon. Is that going to be talked about in the next film? I feel like that's something that's going to inevitably come up. Because that felt like a pretty a devastating thing to happen. So I'm wondering if that's going to come up at all. But I actually liked Dr. Robotnik's character development in this, where he realised that actually the whole sort of message of this film is kind of, you know, your path and your journey essentially decides who you are. And actually, you know, it's better to make the right choices and good choices rather than to stick to the path of anger and rage and evil. And this kind of applies to Robotnik as well, where in his dying act is to save the world. So I really, really liked that. And yes, I did say next film. So I think Sonic 4 has pretty much been confirmed. And if it hasn't been confirmed, then that mid-credits scene definitely confirms it. So yes, this is mainly what I want to talk about in spoiler section. There's a mid-credits scene and an end-credits scene. The end-credits scene is essentially to show that Shadow survives the crash, that kind of thing. You know, he is the ultimate life form. He's going to survive that. The mid-credits scene is the important one that I really want to talk about. My cinema screening, when they saw these characters, went crazy. So the mid-credits scene is, the film ends with Sonic, Tails and Knuckles racing against each other, which is what they did at the beginning of the film. And Sonic realises that he's travelled way too far away from their home. And he's in New York now. And he gets confused on like how to get back and where to go. And something appears behind him. It's Metal Sonic, looking exactly like the games. It looked incredible. And the whole bunch of other replicants surround him. They suddenly get destroyed by a certain hammer, which is being carried by Amy Rose. So Amy Rose and Metal Sonic are going to be in the next film. Which, if you know the story of Sonic, they're kind of doing this in order of the character appearances and not the story. So I'm wondering where this is going to go now. As in, like, you know, after a while, you're going to drift away from the games and go into the comics. Or are you going to go so far into the comics where I would like to see a Sonic Unleashed adaptation. I know that wasn't very popular with everyone, but I like that one. Are we doing that? Are we going to do Sonic Colors? Are we going to do, are we going to go completely breaking fourth wall and do Sonic Generations? That could be interesting. So I'm interested to know where this is going to go now, but I think at this point, this is a franchise where, because usually I'm like, oh, you're doing another sequel, oh, another film. But this is definitely a franchise where I'm like, each film has been fantastic. There hasn't been a bad thing with them. They haven't been terrible. They've been really fun. They've been really enjoyable, and they're great. So this is a franchise where I'm like, if they want to go on and continue on with this, where, afterwards they can add Silver, they can add, is it Vector, they can add Blaze, they can add Rouge, Rouge the Bat. If they want to do that, go for it. I have faith that it will be good. So if they really want to go for it, go for it. But yeah, Sonic 4 I think is definitely happening. It kind of has to now that you've teased that. You can't just tease that, oh, Amy Rose and Metal Sonic are going to be in the next film and not do the next film. So yeah, but that's mainly what I wanted to use the spoiler section for. I kind of had to talk about it, and I think also the slight destruction of the moon will also be addressed in the next film, or another spin-off show like they did with Knuckles and Paramount Plus. So yeah, I overall love Sonic 3. It's my favourite one of the franchise. I thought it was great, and yeah, go see it if you haven't. Especially if you liked the previous two films. But I was Megan, this is Battle Royale with Cheese. See you soon.